Hello everyone! This is Running on Empty Food Review. Well, hello ladies, gentlemen, and everyone watching. Welcome one and all to this newest edition of the Running on Empty Food Review series. I'm your host, The Report of the Week. Thank you for checking in. So, granted, I know this doesn't apply to everyone. I speak from experience, I suppose, and I think it's one of those things that at least a large enough percentage, I think, of those of you watching can either directly relate to or at the very least understand, and that is the subject of steaks. Now, I'm talking about food as in, eating a steak, not like the stakes of, the stakes have never been higher or anything like that, or anything to that extent, but, just a steak. Whatever type of steak it might be. Me personally, I enjoy a good steak from time to time. I'll enjoy usually a filet mignon. I know I go there, but I'll usually go with that. But of course, you have the strip steak and you have the big T-bone steak, and there's all sorts of different types of steaks out there, steakhouses, and some people, of course, equate certain types of steaks with fine dining. But granted, costs can sometimes be an issue. Sometimes the place that does steaks the best can be a ways away, and getting there can be a pain. And there are certain hurdles that can make it a little difficult, right? What if I told you that the era of steaks is coming to an end? And you might initially be aghast at this because you might think to yourself, well, wait a minute, but I like steaks, I like going out and enjoying a good old New York strip steak from time to time, and I've had very bad experiences with those steaks, by the way. That's why I reacted as I did. But anyway, you might be saying, but why? What do you mean? Well, what if I told you, though, that this isn't a cause for concern, but actually, this should be a celebratory occasion, because steaks from now on are going to be replaced with something better than ever at a much better price at that. And here's the kicker. You could probably get this with ease. Burger King has released their new Steakhouse Bacon Whopper. That's right. You like steaks, now you don't have to go to the steakhouse to get it anymore. You can go to Burger King. And I think this is going to render steaks in any form, again, be that from the New York strip steak to the filet mignon, utterly obsolete. Why do you need to get a steak when you can just go to Burger King and get the Steakhouse Bacon Whopper, right? Do you get bacon with a steak? Okay, you do. All right, forget that point then. But you don't get all this stuff that's on this for this price with a steak, right? So steaks are obsolete after this. It's over. The age of steak is dead after this. Burger King, Steakhouse Bacon Whopper, beef patty, A1 steak sauce, fried onions, bacon, Swiss cheese, lettuce, tomato, and a peppercorn aioli for $9. Now you might say, $9 for a Whopper that just has one patty and that's it? It's not a meal? Yeah, but think about how much it would cost you to get a steak instead, right? So this is, you should be thanking Burger King for this. You should be sending them an email right now praising them for just how genius this is, to get all the benefits of a steak at such a low price. This is genius. This is the best thing I've ever seen in my whole life, quite frankly. So, yeah, all those steakhouses, be that the big chains, be that, the nationwide ones like Outback and Longhorn Steakhouse and all that, they're dead. They're gone. This is driving them out of business. Any local places, forget them too. You don't need them anymore. We got Burger King with the Steakhouse Bacon Whopper right here. This is the future for $9. Got A1 steak sauce. See the Swiss cheese right there. Got the bacon, tomatoes. Does it have everything? That's the question, does it? There is the peppercorn aioli and lettuce. It looks like it does. tomatoes, the bacon, and the Swiss cheese, and the onion. Yeah, I think it does. I think it has everything that it's supposed to have. And, and hopefully hopefully there will never be a reality where this is actually the future of steaks, because what a pitiful existence that would be. And anyway, maybe this will actually be good, though. I know I was sort of having some fun with the intro, but maybe this will actually be good. I sure hope that it is. $9, though. Overpriced. Burger King Steakhouse Bacon Whopper going in. All right. So knowing that it's Burger King, your mileage may vary. I know mine sure does. I will say, for those of you that remember the whole saga with the Burger Kings and all the health violations for every single Burger King in my area, I once again went with the fly-infested one, but I checked, and I didn't see as many recent reviews, outlining those concerns, so maybe they're actually finally doing something about it, but evidently this one's the best of the worst. And as far as the quality is concerned for this one, better than what I expected, to be honest. Now, I know you don't really like seeing the cross-section. We'll just take a quick look so you could see the proportion of the meat to the bun, to the toppings, and all of that good stuff. But I will say, as far as Burger King releases in this day and age, there are issues with the chain. There are serious issues with them. And I've had my fair share of items that are beyond bad from Burger King. At the same time, though, that's not to say that they are incapable of releasing something that's edible, because this is one of those instances where, and I always try to draw the line as I'm consuming it. I try to think to myself, okay, don't have your expectations set at absolute rock bottom, because in that case you might be giving the place a little too much credit, right? More than they deserve. If something is just barely edible, when the last thing was disgustingly horrid, right? You don't want to sit there and sing praises unnecessarily. I always remind myself of this, and it's a shame that I have to do that much, but it's just the way things are. But anyway, I was pleasantly surprised at a few aspects of this going in. Number one, the freshness of the ingredients. Now, that should go without saying, but when it's a place like Burger King, the fact is, there have been many instances where I've gone in and the lettuce is wilted and the tomatoes look like they've been sitting out for days and the bun is falling apart and stale. Everything's actually fresh here. Give them credit for that. That's a positive aspect. You could see there's a good amount of beef on this, too. Yeah, it's still overpriced, don't get me wrong, but at least for $9 you are getting a decent-sized burger. Again, it should be half the price, in my opinion. But nevertheless, still getting a good amount of meat. There's a good amount of bacon on it, too. Now, I don't know how well you're really able to see the bacon that was on it, but there's a good amount of it there. Definitely like 2 or 3 solid slices of it. Good crisp to it, though. Good crisp to the bacon. The meat as well is tender and flavorful. It's standard from what you would expect from Burger King, but fine for what it is. But the bacon, though, I will say, pleasant, flavorful, nice crisp to it, though, as I mentioned. And here's the thing, though, that I think I saw this in a good way. So you have the bacon, the fried onions are there in considerable amount. I don't know if you could really see them too well based on the cross-section, and they were sort of hiding under the tomatoes and the bacon a little bit, but there's a good amount of them. Well, the bacon is a little greasy and a little oily, as are those fried onions, and with the burger itself being a little more on the neutral side, you might start getting a bit of an imbalance where you could start finding yourself in a situation where it becomes a bit too greasy and too oily. I was starting to worry about that. But this is one of those instances wherein you have a sauce, actually 2 sauces, that sort of come to the rescue and restore that balance and prevent that from being the case. That's the A1 sauce and then that peppercorn aioli. Now, amusingly, there's more of the peppercorn aioli on this, and I'm sure you could really see on the top bun, based on the cross-section and everything, there's more of that peppercorn aioli on it than there is the A1 sauce. The A1 sauce is very hard to see, but boy, you can taste it, and you can taste it a whole lot more than the peppercorn aioli. It's not to say that the peppercorn aioli is bad. There's nothing really... It gives it moisture for the most part. You definitely do taste a little bit of that pepper flavor. It's there. But you really notice the A1 sauce. Very savory, very strong though, but in a way that it both complements the burger, right? It complements the beef patty, and it offsets some of that greasiness and oiliness that begins building up otherwise from the bacon strips and the fried onions. So everything combines together nice. You have a nice blend and a nice mixture of flavors that's actually on the pleasant side. The A1 sauce isn't overpowering because all these other ingredients keep it in line. The other ingredients don't get overwhelming in one way or another because they're moderated out by the sauces. It's actually a nice balance for once. And yeah, it's gimmicky. As soon as I saw the title of this, I thought, you gotta be kidding me. The Steakhouse Bacon Whooper. It's like, to even draw that comparison between Burger King and a steakhouse, I thought to myself, you know what? I really don't care anymore. I'm just going to go into this and just play it up as much as possible, because so what? And I thought it was quite tacky, but, this is one of those instances where I went in with my expectations not necessarily through the roof. I had my reservations. Yes, I made judgments based on the marketing and the branding, and I thought it was silly. I still think it's silly, and I still think it's overpriced, but you know what? At least it's not a horrible item. It might be silly, it might be a little tacky, it's still overpriced, but at least it tastes good for what it is, all things considered. Is it the best thing I've ever had? No. Most definitely not. But is it a bad sandwich, right? Is it a bad burger? Absolutely not. Tastes fine for what it is. This is one of those instances, all the ingredients come together well. I also want to mention that Swiss cheese is definitely there. You notice it in every bite, and it sort of blankets everything, so a little bit of that cheesiness to it as well. But all things considered, as far as a burger from Burger King is concerned, it's really not bad. It's not bad. Not necessarily for everyone, but especially if you enjoy that, savory sharpness, especially of the A1 sauce, you really are going to notice that here, but a good amount of everything else comes together nicely. So, all things considered, yeah, it's overpriced and it's tacky, and I am going to deduct a point or two for the price, because, especially these days, to pay $9 for this, that's still way too much if you ask me. And price is a very important element, but everything else really comes together nicely. It's, all things considered, not bad. So therefore, out of 10, I'm going to rate the Steakhouse Bacon Whopper from Burger King, out of 10, 7.2 out of 10. If it was more affordable, probably get like a 7.9 or so, maybe an 8 out of 10, but I think 7.2 is fair, all things considered. Right, this isn't a legendary item or anything, but it's perfectly fine for what it is. And that's all that I have for you. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm your host, The Report of the Week.